Alright, so you guys have heard a lot of really fantastic presentations from Davita's History of Theater class, and I'm going to be presenting a paper that I wrote for her Women in Playwriting class, which I'm not sure if you're offering in the fall. Yes, contemporary women playwrights. If you're if you're into women's studies and you're into really interesting plays, take it. You read a lot of great things. One of those great things is Susan Laurie Park's The Red Letter plays. The Red Letter plays are composed of both In the Blood and Fucking A. In the Blood came first in 1999 and was soon followed by the release of the second play, Fucking A. She wrote these and came up with these ideas while canoeing with a friend. What she wanted to do was, these themes and characters are mirrored from Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter. Has anybody read the Scarlet Letter before I get involved? All right. For those of you who haven't read the Scarlet Letter, it's about a woman who ends up having sexual relations with one of the more, like a governor type character, or like minister, and she gets pregnant, has a child, and because she's not saying who she became pregnant by, the whole society kind of pushes her to the side, makes her wear a red letter A for adultery, and she goes through this whole process of just being totally removed from society. So Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter tells the tale of a woman named Hester, outcasted by her community. Well, I wrote it right here. Community for convincing a daughter through an adulterous affair with a man of a high authority. Although the outcast, Hester's community finds use for her in her ability to sew, she struggles to regain repentance and dignity. Other themes include sin, guilt, and motherhood. In the Blood's Hester, who's taken the name from Scarlet Letter, deals with all of these themes in a more contemporary and dystopian society. Motherhood, sexuality, race, religion, and forgiveness are all themes in the Blood and Fucking A. My essay that I wrote explored the various themes and characters in the first Red Letter play, In the Blood, by investigating its urban dystopian society and the role Hester plays in this dangerous world and how archetypal control battles against the power of motherhood. Hester, the main character in both plays, drives the plot forward with her never-ending desire to provide for her forgotten and misunderstood children. I focused more so on In the Blood, and in this version of the Scarlet Letter, she plays this homeless woman who has 8 children, all named after people who she has slept with. So someone that she slept with from her barbershop, her child's named Beauty, the youngest is named Baby, so there's just all these they don't really have names, they're more of just reminding her who she slept with. She lives under a bridge. The play is cast usually mixed race, although Hester is always cast as a black woman. And this kind of helps showcase the fact that Hester has slept with all these different kinds of people, and that race doesn't necessarily matter in the long run of everything. So as she's living under this bridge, society tries to forget and sweep her off to the side, sweep her off to the side, and in this case, a bridge. Hester is unable to read except for the letter A. A mocking word, slut, is written in graffiti under the bridge where Hester lives. It will eventually lead to the final undoing of Hester and the killing of her oldest son, Jabber. The ending, if no one minds a spoiler, is Hester trying to learn how to read. She can only spell the letter A, and then her oldest son, Jabber, comes up to her and says, "You know, Mom, the word slut has been painted under this bridge and you can't even read that because guess what, you are a slut." And he goes on to insult her, saying, "Why would you sleep with all these different men? You can't even provide for our family." And Hester, in a fit of rage, beats him over the head with a bat, killing him. As I said before, each child is fathered by a different man who refuses to help Hester in raising or providing financial support. Outside the world of Under the Bridge lies a community of people who are far better off. Characters such as Reverend D and the Welfare Lady enter into the desolate setting to mock and further alienate Hester from the rest of society. Speaking more on Reverend D, he is the one that has most recently slept with her and she has had the child Baby. She goes there saying, "I need financial support, I need to be able to provide for my children, I need to be able to give them food." And Reverend D, a mocking figure of religious authority, says, "Oh yes, we will raise money through the church and I'll give you this money so that you can survive." He goes ahead and raises money and then keeps it for herself, and when she comes knocking at his door, there's this long monologue about how he just used her as a way to prove that he is on almost the same level of God and he can use women in whatever fashion he wants. So Susan Lori Parks really plays with the idea of how religion influences society and like what role religious figures have in society and the way they can be corrupted by an evil world. Welfare Lady is a woman who comes and visits Hester occasionally. She is a white woman who is married, and she goes and checks in, does the basic welfare system where she goes and makes sure the kids are being fed, and yet she doesn't care enough to actually help Hester out of her situation, just enough to keep her like surviving. She also gives Hester money to sleep with her and her husband in a threesome. So she's using Hester's body to physically like deteriorate her in society. And that's just another way that Susan Lori Parks is showing how these systems like welfare, you know, they're trying to help, but in many cases they end up just abusing the people and misusing and not really helping them in the long run. And they use them for their own privileges of getting further in society. A point can be made that this same welfare character refuses to help Hester because she is lower class and this lower class outweighs race. I came up with a theory, and I kind of like spoke it through with David a little bit, that perhaps Hester is a Jesus-like figure, because Hester comes back, she is merely trying to give people what they want. She is trying to fulfill their sexual needs, she's trying to make them feel better about themselves by having sex with them, and people just continue to throw her away and continue to use her like trash. And I kind of came up with this idea that if she's like a Christ-like figure, maybe Hester, who the entire script, she is always referring to the fact that God will take care of her. And at the very end of the play, she literally like she puts her hands in the sky and says, you know, now I can be taken by you, and she dies. So I came up with the feeling that perhaps she's supposed to be this Jesus-like figure who comes back in the 21st century, gets abused by society, is not believed to be any kind of significant person, even though she's always constantly giving, and ends up sacrificing her life and dying. Whereas Hester in the Scarlet Letter is forgiven, Hester in the Blood is not. Hester in Scarlet Letter has noteworthy skills, and she uses them to try to win back society's respect for her. Hester in the Blood does not. The only similarity these two share is their children and how much they care for their children. Mother's relationships with the firstborn is another big part of comparing Scarlet Letter and In the Blood. Parks Hester kills her child. She does this out of rage and confusion, but perhaps also because she wishes to save Jabber from the evils of society. My essay concluded with a final look into how ultimately society controls actions of lesser characters, especially the mother figure, and when this mother figure makes the ultimate decision on whether she will allow her child to live in a society and allow that child to be controlled. Thank you.